I'm Exploding Kofi, a social justice practitioner and a grassroots activist who has devoted the whole of his life to fighting for the cause of humanity so that majority of people can have a meaningful life and that not a very few people will continue to amass the wealth of this world whilst majority of the people are marginalized and live in very bad conditions. Because of my conviction, when I had a scholarship to leave Ghana in 1982, I already decided I was not going to leave, but to join the process of building social justice and changing this country. I naively believed that the 31st December coup d'etat will lead to a process of changing this country, lead a process of establishing social justice, lead to a process of the resources of this country being equitably distributed among the people, lead to a process that the economy of this country could rebound to the stage that we were seeing in the First Republic before the 24th February 1966 coup d'etat. So I abandoned my scholarship, decided to stay back, convinced myself that I was never going to leave Ghana and that it is possible for us to bring about change. However, the processes which started in the beginning and the differences which came within the ruling council of the Provisional National Defense Council, which was the junta, which came into being after the 31st December 1981 coup, became quite problematic. The fact is that whilst others saw that it was an opportunity to sacrifice to build this country, others were interested only in replacing the others who they have been complaining about. We had a situation where a government delegation led by Chris Atin toured the whole of Eastern Europe and Cuba and came back to the country and they held a press conference and said because the countries they visited looked after them, all the money that the Ghana government had given them was going to be paid back to chess. Ato Austin led a delegation to North Korea. He returned, had a press conference that half of the money that they took was going to be paid to chess. That was not a pattern that many people saw as a way in which politics is run. Many people think that when they travel outside this country, they should be given monies which they will pocket and make themselves rich. So that in itself was a threat. And when there was a split in the council, one of the members of the council, through whom I got involved with the PNDC, Chris Atin, resigned. In his resignation letter, he pointed out about how certain people were using the foreign exchange unaccountably in the government. One of the reasons for which he was resigning. It was alleged that I was involved in the coup plot, a plot to which up to today I would want to know, because when I was arrested and detained at Field Engineers Barracks, after interrogation, I was never transferred to the prisons. I was always held in the guard room, and anybody who was found to be linked up with the coups were transferred to the prison. I was in detention when all the coups were tried, and I was never a witness or accused or mentioned in any of the coup trials. So that I was involved in a coup plot only remained a rumor. I was in detention for about 7 months, and after 7 months being held in the engineer's guard room, just as a holding place, not being shifted onto where people could be taken to be tried, I saw that my life was not safe. My life was not safe also because a number of people have been killed in guard rooms. Detention for about 7 months, and after 7 months being held in the engineer's guard room, just as a holding place, not being shifted onto where people could be taken to be tried. I saw that my life was not safe. My life was not safe also because a number of people have been killed in guard rooms when they were being kept there. So it happens, especially in Air Force guard room where they had a place called Agigi where overnight people were sent. And so when on June 19th, there was the jailbreak, I also took advantage. First, when the jailbreakers came from Ashafort to Field Engineers Ground, they came with instructions that they were only going to release soldiers. But Lance Corporal Nemo, Isaac Nemo, who was in detention with us, opposed that. And Nemo said that in Field Engineers Ground, there was no difference between civilians and soldiers. In fact, I had organized a lot of political education for Isaac Nemo whilst we were there. So Isaac Nemo insisted that all the civilians in Field Engineers Ground should be released alongside the soldiers. So that was how I got out of Field Engineers Ground, and Nemo took responsibility for taking me around wherever he was until the occupation of the broadcasting came to an end. Nemo and myself spent the night at Dr. Ababiu's clinic in Laboni, and through that we after that took our routes through. He went to Ivory Coast and I went to Togo. I spent 11 days in to escape from Ghana, sleeping in farms sometimes, in the bush sometimes, in hideouts sometimes. Oh, what is wrong with what's wrong with this nation, and what are the lessons for younger people? I think that the problem of this nation is rooted in colonial occupation. And many people will say that some of us like taking things back. But let me take it gradually. We had an educational system which was specifically built so that we in this part of the world will contribute towards building the countries which were our colonial rulers, with helping their economy and all that. And the fact is that because of that, the orientation which you are given when you go to school, this orientation builds you in a self-seeking individual. Recently, I was having a discussion with people where they were talking about let us train people by getting the teachers in English and mathematics. And I pointed out that even there are scientists in this country who also are interested in destroying the country and destroying its population. The fact is that the kind of civic education which is given to people is very important in building them up and how they can contribute to the country. The fact is that it is precisely because of this kind of education and this seeking nature that corruption has become the norm in our country. And that when I talk about the experience in the PNDC era, I mentioned people who traveled and came back to this country and made sure that what was given to them was paid back to government checks. In fact, some people have told me that that's very abnormal and that those people should not be surprised that others in government were against them. So how do we build a society of people who are committed? I pointed out the fact that I abandoned a scholarship to make sure that I could contribute.